Oh man, almost missed another day. Yesterday I didn't do it till late in the evening, and then today I was feeling it. I was like, oh man, just busy, busy. Um, I think during the weekend though really screwed me up because I was out celebrating my birthday. But I just, I'm just on my computer watching videos and doing work, and just like not in the mindset of making my own content. Normally, I feel pretty excited about doing stuff, but yesterday and today I just did not. I just felt like I just wanted to chill. But again, I don't think it has anything to do with me not enjoying the videos either. I actually do like doing them, and the stakes are very low, so I don't really mind them. But I think there's also a bit of like I have a lot of stuff I want to talk about. You know, I actually do. I have quite a bit. I've written like a list of things that I like to discuss, um, but I always feel like those just would take longer. Like I need like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even maybe even an hour to sit and chat. But honestly, I need to kind of move towards making the kind of content where I do sketches and world building stuff. That did really well. Like a lot of people really like that. Just because there just won't be days where I will have like 30 or 40 minutes. And if I do, it's like reserved for family, reserved for friends, like doing calls and such, you know? And as much as I love doing this, it's like, oh man, but I only got like 30 minutes right now. Like I really want to do it, like hang out with the kiddos for a bit. And so 10 minutes, 8 minutes, these ones are awesome. I love these types of hangouts. Right now, I didn't put a timer because I was just like, okay, when I'm done talking, I'll just stop. So if I stop in like 5 minutes, then I'll stop in 5 minutes. But yeah, let's just talk. Let's have a little bit of a hangout. Let's see what's on my mind today. Just today, it's gonna be kind of random chatter, just to make sure I can get it in. Um, yeah, I think for me, uh, I think yesterday and even today, I've been actually mainly bummed out with a lot of the stuff that's been going on. And I think like this is shared amongst the vast majority of people like on Earth, not even just stateside. Like it seems like there's a lot of weird shit going on everywhere. Um, I just saw like a video today too. My buddy Jama, his friend, went and battled, was drafted into the war in Ukraine and lost sight in his eyes. Potentially, there's an opportunity for one of his eyes to be awesome and kind of give him a chance to have an opportunity. But it's just like, man, like on top of all the other stuff that's going on, from a lot of the stuff like world affairs that are going on, and like how my current government was just feels like it's ran by a bunch of upper management, you know, like a bunch of people that tend to think they know all of the. And let me be clear, I actually don't have any problems with upper management. It depends on the context. Some of my favorite people are people in upper management, but what makes them great is that they recognize the power of the talent that they hire, and they fight for the the team. You know what I mean? They fight the good fights. But these are not those. These are the kinds of upper management that, remember that movie Office Space, I think it was called, where like you have that guy with glasses, I forget his name, um, and he's like, yeah, you get like just that general manager that we all despise. you know, you know what I'm talking about. If you've ever worked at any kind of job, you know. And again, to be fair, a lot of the people that I know that are usually in upper management, especially in my industry, tend to be awesome. It's just like I remember when I worked at like uh, the the Boys and Girls Club. I think had some pretty wild versions of that. I remember I worked at this other place too, It was for special needs people, and the management there was bonkers. I remember I quit because they were just so out of touch. Um, but yeah, I just feel like the country's been run by a bunch of nincompoops that don't know actually how to do anything that they said that they know how to do, and convinced a lot of people that they can. It's pretty wild. And for me, like on top of just seeing my buddy's friend or my friend getting his eyes screwed up from kind of just coming off of um, one of my close friends passing away, and then on top of that, or before that, coming from my close friend lost his home, another friend of mine, and like a lot of other people that I knew, lost their homes, and then right now, my parents are on the brink of retirement, and just the idea, because even my mom was like, "Wait, like, does this mean that our Social Security and our 401k is going to be scrapped?" And I'm like, honestly, I have no clue what's going to happen, to be honest. Like, I am not an economist, nor am I a politician, but apparently neither are the people that are running this show. So it might be smart to start taking the money out. I was looking at my 401k and I was like, yikes. Dude, it's not awesome. And I'm just like, man, this year sucks so much. This is like the best thing that I got going outside of like just work, my family and stuff. Oh, there's some stuff actually, even with my family, and there's some health stuff. And even today, I had a bit of like a scare, and over the weekend as well, to be honest. So it's just like, man, life never lets up. I think I talked about this in a different video, but I have like a tattoo on my leg that says, "Art is easy, life is hard." And this is easy. This is easy for me. Just showing up, painting. I'm like, all right, shoot, I feel like shit today, but I could sit down for like 10 minutes, hang out with the homies. It's my alarm to let me know I should go to bed. You know, because you all are my homies, and I am almost certain some of you guys who listen to me, because I know this is for a fact on like my Instagram, or my like social media in general. I have like definitely some friends who I strongly disagree with a lot of their stances on politics, explicitly, but we tend to get along because outside of that, like in fact, I think um, before Donald Trump was even ever elected in 2016, I just remember never talking about politics ever, you know? And I remember even saying in a different video, 2016, I was pretty wild now because I was genuinely confused and I was arguing with anybody and everybody who wanted to argue. It's like the least productive years of my life. But uh, some of the friends I know and I talk to often, um, yeah, some of them are like, "Wait, what's going on?" too. So they're even stepping out of the spell because most of them are pretty reasonable individuals. But I will say that I know for a fact there are many people that might be listening who have similar points of views of my friends. And the thing that I think kind of snapped some of my homies out of this, I described the situation in this way where I was explaining how it's weird to be this infatuated with any kind of uh, political body, let alone a politician, individual politician, and that I almost rarely um, rely on this individual, whoever might be in charge, to help me overcome certain challenges in my life. You know, because it just almost never happens, at least for me explicitly. Now, this doesn't mean that it doesn't happen at all, that there's never moments of levity and moments of, um, you know, progression. But at the end of the day, the people in a relatively democratic process elect people. And the word is like elect, meaning that we decided that you should do a good job. And if they don't, um, we have to be reminded we are the ones in charge. We're allegedly, you know, and uh, we are technically the boss. And this idea that these people are better than that is weird. And some of my friends had a hard time kind of parsing the difference. I even noticed. And to me, it's like, look, I have family. I have close family, my children, my friends that I love dearly. I call them out on their bullshit, man. Like they have bullshit. People call me out on my bullshit all the fucking time, and it's normal. It's healthy because nobody's perfect, right? We all have our flaws. We all have our issues, and I think it's interesting to me when any person, and I think it's very obvious with Trump explicitly, but with any individual politician that we put this much faith in their abilities, you know, it's kind of wild. Global economics and global politics is an incredibly complicated thing. Managing upwards of 7 billion people with hundreds of millions and billions, and even some nations, even just millions of people in any given nation. It's crazy to think that we're even capable of doing any of the stuff that we keep talking about, right? And so the stuff that we have in place, as faulty as they are, definitely have brought some genuine prosperity for our entire species. And so to me, it's like, I don't know what the answers are. And like, I think I said this before, if I ever really get into politics, I won't get into politics, like straight up. But yeah, this has just been on my mind. I'm just like watching all this stuff. And I'm just like, man, like, is it fair that we should begin to look at the ripcord here? You know? Like when do we feel as a species that we should pull the ripcord on a lot of this stuff and start to get our shit together? You know? And to me, it's really fascinating just to watch people double down, people come to realizations, people changing their perspectives over the years, one way or another. I've seen it happen in both directions. I personally have changed my mind on things as well. There are many things that I once thought, and I either change my mind on it, or I become more indifferent, realizing like, why do I put so much thought in this? I don't know, or this doesn't affect me nearly as much. And the people that it does affect, I have nothing but empathy for and sympathy. But outside of that, like, why am I out here trying to debate bro people about this specific subject? It's like I don't have enough time to be an expert at this thing. I don't know enough to genuinely put up a good fight. One of the things that I can be reasonably thoughtful on is this, like I said, upper management stuff. And watching all this stuff, I'm like, yeah, this is clear signs of bad management. Like this is like what I see often at studios, like in multi-billion-dollar gaming studios. Like this is very similar, in some of these studios that I've worked for. I will say not at this length of lack of accountability. That part is absent. But a lot of these studios, yeah, you have pips, you would have HR meetings, you would have all sorts of stuff to account for some of the challenges that arise, And so to me, it's really bizarre watching all this go down and seeing people not recognize a bad manager when it hits them right on the nose. Again, I don't want to get too political, but here's a great example. When you talk out of both sides of your mouth, for instance, the tariffs are they're not too controversial, meaning that I think a lot of people may have a lot of opinions about what they can do and how they should work, but it's very obvious that blanket tariffs on everything, like no coordination of any kind, is pretty wild. That's a pretty wild strategy. it's essentially like taking out the Nintendo cartridge out of the console and blowing on it and resetting your whole game. You know, a little too extreme for what is at stake, in my opinion. Um, but I think he was asked a very simple question of like, what do you think about the negotiation tactics of the tariffs, and or are these permanent? Are you going to leave them in for good? And he made a comment about them being both. So why can't it be both? And when I heard that, I was like, wait, I thought it's obvious why it can't be both. Because if it's permanent, you are making a solid principle stand. And whether I agree with this, which I do not, or not, at least it's principled. So just stand on those principles and say, no, it's for good. We feel like this is the best course of action. Whatever. Okay. But this kind of wishy-washy, like, well, it could be both. Because if it's not, if it can't be permanent, then what you're saying is that when people negotiate, hey, like we'll work with you. Let's find a way to make these tariffs go away. And he's like, great, let's do it. And also, I'm not going to change a thing because they're permanent. Then a lot of these countries might also just be like, wait, what are we negotiating? Like, what's the negotiation tactic? And then businesses, as a consequence, will realize that their companies need to rely on this staggering information. This is where the lack of confidence, if you've heard that term, keeps spawning up. It's like, are we having tariffs or not? Are they temporary or not? Are you negotiating or not? You know, like, what are we doing here? That's bad management. I've had this happen before. Let me give you a good example. Within the game industry, something that I know very clearly is a problem. So I remember one time my art director gave me some feedback of like, hey, can you make this design purple? And leaving companies and names relatively anonymous, but to be fair, this wasn't bad in terms of like these people were malicious. This was just bad management, and we sorted it out, so it was all good. So even if this came out, like there's no ill will here. It's just what it is. What it is. It was just bad management. So let me walk you through what happened. And so one of the art director told me, hey, make this purple, and then the game director said, hey, make it green. So it's like mom and dad, right? Like two people telling me two different things. And they would come back, and every time it would be the opposite color. They'd be like, hey, I thought I asked you to. And I was like, hey, listen, so-and-so said they wanted it to be green, and you're saying they want it to be purple. Like, I don't know which one's right. I don't know who to listen to. And they recognize this. They're like, oh, shoot, okay. And again, this is an incredibly innocent situation because they were coming to my desk at different times. You know? And so it was just by coincidence that they were just never in the same room to kind of argue these points, you know? Anyway, well, actually, I don't know if I like this foreground character. I'm trying to add more characters to my scenes. So anyway, okay, here we go. Let me just make a new layer in case I change my mind. So I actually like where this painting is going. I'm actually happy that I sat down and started painting. So the producer, I remember, he came and was kind of talking to me about it, and sure enough, like my coworkers were also running into, like, they were also getting kind of again, out of both sides of the mouth, pieces of feedback from the game director and art director. So the producer sat us in a room, and like we all discussed it for about an hour in a meeting. We're like, yeah, this is kind of a weird situation we keep finding ourselves in. And then the producer then went ahead and talked to the game director and to the art director and told them the problems. They agreed it was a problem. They then went ahead and tried to set up reviews of the work when they were both in the same room, you know? And if it couldn't happen, then they would do something where they would just kind of make sure that they would give up veto power. Like, hey, I want this green, but if so-and-so says they don't want it to be green, then they have veto power. Or if they give you different pieces of advice, then I still have veto power, so we should try to set up a meeting and discuss it, so that way we don't overstep. But it was resolved. It was bad management, but it was resolved with good management. A producer came in there and solved the problem. It was great. This again, this is what I'm saying. My dope upper management homies, this is what they do. They will recognize the challenge, keep people accountable, and then move on with our lives. And it was fine. After that, feedback was way smoother, way more silkier, you know? But it was obvious of a lack of miscommunication, you know? This trust me, bro attitude with no checks and balances is alarming. And I don't know why. Like, I consider myself a pretty good art director, a pretty good manager. I consider myself a pretty good artist. I do think there are people that are better than me at many of these different things, but I do think that I'm okay at a lot of these things. I put into place a lot of times, wherever I work, systems that can catch me in my lack of interest, or oh, I'm sorry, not lack of interest, lack of knowledge, because I too can make a mistake. I too should be held accountable for something I did. I made a mistake and I did wrong, and I have. You know, I've had many instances where this has happened, and it's been great. It's been a learning experience. It's allowed me to become a better manager, because then I realized I need to have a little bit more fail safes. I need to have better checks on my blind spots. You know, and similar managers operate the same way. You know, like that are, in my opinion, are great managers. People who realize that problem solving is an incredibly multifaceted challenge, and that we have to work together, not at each other. And we can't just all be like, just trust me, because what if you are wrong? I remember, again, another example where there was a really experienced artist on one of our teams that kept on getting into arguments about little things that honestly didn't help improve our project. And much of the team did not like this. They felt like it was distracting a lot of times, and that it was problematic. And when confronted, like the management team, one of the things that was brought up is, well, you know, he's an expert at what he does, so it's really important for us to listen to what he says. You know, we want to make sure we do things right. And I say, you know, well, even in some of the greatest and most complicated things in science, there is opportunity for peer review, meta-analysis, other mechanisms that can help us get a better consensus of the situation, so we don't act on what we think is true on one or two experts in this instance, let alone, you know, this artist who, for all intents and purposes, it felt like we were slowing down a lot, you know, because they were constantly at odds with a lot of what the team wanted to do. And it just became moments where we would constantly be having to argue with this person in meetings about subjects that we just shouldn't have been arguing about, because we were trying to solve a different problem. So let me give you an example. And this is not exactly what would be a perfect, this isn't like a perfect one moment that actually happened. I'm just going to kind of make up something, but it's like, we were talking about how to fix, I don't know, like something like the level design. And instead of talking about the level design and arguing about what's the best course of action for that, this individual would bring up like how visual effects work in video games and why they're awesome and what we can do to make them better. But it'll be such a controversial like position as well. Like we would say like something like, you know, visual effects are the only way to make levels look good. It's just like, what? That sounds pretty extreme. I don't think that's right. And now we're arguing about visual effects making the levels better, but it's like, I think what we really want to talk about, like, why is it not fun? and perhaps visual effects could have a clue. But the fact that we're like kind of arguing the merits of our visual effects, the king of environments and levels, kind of threw everyone off. And I remember it being at that meeting, being like, "Hey guys, like, I think we've truly derailed. Like, we've changed the subject too much. We're not even talking about the level design again. Like, what are the designers complaining about? What are the playtesters are complaining about? For sure, it could potentially be about the visual effects, but I think it's more foundational. I think there's something just about the layout, again, because there's more to a level than the visual effects. And I believe that artist would then like pop in and be like, no, 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 I don't think you guys get it. Visual, like, and it's just, man, that was such a headache. That's bad management to let that keep going on. And when I was in the room, I was trying not to let that continue. But apparently, when I was not in the room, that kind of conversation would be the heart of the conversation. And then people would leave the meeting with almost no real answers anymore, and no actionable solution. And then we would end up having to do another meeting, and so forth and so on. So, yeah, again, I don't want to get too much into politics, but to me, this is not controversial. There is so much mismanagement and mishandling, which such so much sensitive and important things to people's daily lives. Like, regardless of their original goals and mission, it's not going to be solved with this management style. I promise you, you know? And yeah, and it's been bothering me. I'm just like watching it and I'm like, this is clear, you know? And seeing people not understand that demonstrates to me that they really don't want to believe it, right? And it's unfortunate. It's like, why not? Why can't you believe this? Why was it so easy to believe this for any other individual, but not this individual? This has this has to be a pit stop for your brain to kind of take a second and think to yourself, who on this planet would you trust to tell you that this person's probably out of their mind? You know? Um, you know what I mean? And I definitely um feel very strongly about this. I don't think it's any secret that I don't like the current administration at all from the start. Because to me, it was very obvious that this person was a snake oil salesman. You know, perhaps all the others were as well, but this guy was blatantly, obviously one. And it made sense to me when he got elected the second time that there's a lot of people who need snake oil. You know, like, what does snake oil do? Like, people believe it's going to fix a lot of their ailments, like these problems that you have in your life. This will help resolve it, you know? And it made me realize that there's a lot of folks that are just hurting, innocent people who just were indirectly duped by this. Um, and it's unfortunate. And many of them are in my community, and I feel for you. I remember I sat down with one of my close buddies, and yeah, it was a very emotional conversation. I actually did not expect it. They were really hurting, you know? We were like at a bar, and it got real deep, and I was like, man, I didn't know. Like, and I told them, it's like, if you needed to talk to somebody, I I haven't gone anywhere. I mean, I've literally moved from place to place, but what, like, metaphorically, like, you can reach out to me. I'm not gone. Some of my students message me from time to time about what's going on in their life, and I'm always chimed in, you know. And whether you voted for the guy or not, it's very clear that there's just a lot of hurt people now. And I don't exclude myself out of this. I feel a lot of pain too, man. There's a lot of things going on in my life that really bother me as well. And I wish I could have some time for things to let up a little bit, but it just is what it is. And yeah, just watching this happen again, um, and watching all the stuff that happened earlier this year through some of my close friends and colleagues. Uh, yeah, dude, it's tough. What's going on, man? Like we gotta reconcile with all these challenges. Again, I am not trying to be that kind of content, y'all. Truly, this type of conversation I'll probably have ever so often. I think like last week I did a little bit of the AI chat. I have some opinions about some of my peers' opinions on AI, and it's upsetting. But I don't want to engage in that content all the time, because that's not what I want to do either. I like to stay positive as long as humanly possible, not just because I think it's good to balance out the odds on this platform, but I think it's also just great for myself individually, like me as a person. I went online uh, today and just seeing tons of people mad about something again, and it's just like, yeah, man, it's really hard to not be mad about something. And again, I think a lot of it is warranted. A lot of this anger and frustration is incredibly warranted. This is the problem. Like, I don't actually disagree with a lot of people's perceptions on things. That's the catch. If I disagreed with every single thing, then maybe I'll be like, okay, I'm just checking out entirely. No, I don't disagree that there are things we ought to be mad about. But there's got to be like the Mr. Rogers and the Bob Rosses to help balance it out, right? For every Malcolm X, there was a Martin Luther King. Now, granted, Martin Luther King was also a pretty aggressive activist. So maybe I should look for better examples during that era, during the civil rights movement. Probably just the musicians and I think like athletes too. I think there were like a lot of first time black folk in certain sports and Olympics. Again, I don't think they had a strong political stance, but them just setting examples of greatness was enough to set a precedent. So maybe I could be in that category of people who could help indirectly bring positive influences to folks. I have one person that messaged me that they said they weren't drawing, and then now they're drawing every day, you know, because they also probably feel the weight of the world. They feel the weight of all the challenges, and it's hard not to. And I'm like, yeah, I get it, you know. So fight the good fight, y'all. Whatever is going on in your life, whatever you feel strongly about, I support it. But I will say, yeah, this was not a topic that I want to talk about in my mind, but I'm actually happy I did, so I feel a little bit better. Again, I am almost certain there's going to be people who comment, or even people that will just probably disagree with me. I had some person say, I just kind of disagree with some of your stuff, but they were very respectful, actually. They were like, yeah, I disagree with it, but honestly, I love that you're drawing all the time, and like, I'm tuning in all, like, your advice on this is this, like, also this was really helpful. That does happen, and I actually am like chilling when that happens. Um, but for instance, I think like the video I did on like Snow White, there was a lot of strong opinions. People really hate that movie, and I was just indifferent. I don't know much about what's going on. I just watched it because it's a movie my kids wanted to watch. Oh, I watched Minecraft today. Yeah, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. Yeah, it was just a movie. My kids loved it. Like all the references and this and that, and I was like, oh, cool, cool. I knew nothing. I knew nothing about that world and that franchise. So I literally just was like, this is cute little movie. But I didn't feel strongly one way or another. Um, there was some parts of the movie where I was just like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if any of this is that original, you know. But it clearly knew what kind of movie it was trying to be, and Black just keeps nailing it with these uh big roles in these like video game movies. I think Borderlands is like the only one that didn't do well that he was in video game movie. He even like sang songs in this movie, and I was just like, what? Like they're kind of typecasting him. It seems like, um, yeah. I think even my daughter was like scoffing. She's like, "What, really?" You know, because like he just always singing. But to be fair, I mean, it's good singing. He's a really good singer. I think also what was funny about it was it just felt like it came out of nowhere. I think the song that he did for Mario Brothers was awesome. It was like perfect. Everything about it. I don't think I had any notes. I was like, this is really funny. But with this movie, I was just like, okay, I get it. You can sing really good, dude. I love you, Jack Black, but I think we got to take a little bit of a break on the singing in every movie. But I bet they were like also like, can you sing because you're a dope ass singer and people love it, and maybe just maybe you can make a hit song for our movie, which I don't think they did at all. I don't remember a single lyric from any of those songs. I kind of remember what they're about, but they're nothing like the Peaches song. That song was super catchy, and it was funny. It made a lot of sense in the context of the Super Mario movie. But anyway, yeah, but people have like some strong opinions about that Snow White movie. It's so weird. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do like kind of a harmless movie review of like the story and all this stuff. So yeah, again, I'm not in the business, man. There's a lot of reaction YouTubers that I watch that's what they do. It's all they do, and it's cool. It's fine. I just don't want to do it. And so yeah, I wanted to talk just to talk. Should probably just call this a rant. But honestly, again, I have a lot of other stuff that I wanted to talk about for like 20, 30 minutes. And it's already like almost 40 minutes. So clearly I could have probably used this time. I just didn't feel like I wanted to. I was like, I just want to get a video out and then I'm going to go to bed because I do need to go to bed probably in the next half an hour or so. I'm going to try to get some stuff done first. But yeah, I do appreciate you guys hanging out, listening in, watching me paint as always. And if you weren't drawing along, whenever you're here with me on these talks, whether they're hyper focused on the art, the craft of our art, or they're just me doing these kinds of rants, then homies, you gotta draw along. Whether you disagree with my rant or not, at least do that. You can be seething in anger while painting, or nodding along while painting, but either way, yeah, like the world's topsy-turvy land. It's become more obvious to me how these types of like large historical events could even happen. It's crazy to look back at this moment today, probably 10 years from now. Very similar to a lot of other things historically, like within the last decade or so, that we look back at and just like, yeah, man, that was pretty crazy that we thought that was good. Even just like with something as non-controversial, like the idea of I used to have a pager and I used to have a flip phone, like maybe, what was that? Yeah, maybe 20 years ago. And that's not that long ago. And it's weird to think about, like that was the world, you know, and how much everything has changed. Same is true how I look at the politics. Just like I remember I saw a debate of Romney versus Obama, and just like listening to them argue. And I was like, yeah, like 10, 15 years ago, maybe less than that, actually. I don't know. And just listening to, again, whether you love them or hate them, but like listening to that, to some of the more modern debates that are happening, like it's very clear. We got a bunch of just tryhards, dude. there aren't as many people that I think are actually qualified as we would like to think that are running our current state of affairs. And I don't believe that this is even controversial. Uh, and so this is so crazy to me that it's just happening, and I'm just like watching it, and I'm like trying to worry about my friend's house rebuilding. I'm worried for my friend's family because he just passed away, and then I'm just watching the potential that my parents' chance of retiring this year is fucking zero, allegedly. And so it's just like, man, this year it's gonna be a hard year for me. I can already feel it. It's not even halfway through, on a personal level, and then let alone watching some goofballs try to tell me that they got this situation handled. I'm like, I don't think so, man. I don't think so, not even a little bit. And so, yeah. But anyway, yeah. If you weren't drawing and painting this whole time, man, next time do it, please. And thanks for listening all the way through to this rant. I do appreciate it. Tomorrow we'll be back to our regular broadcast. I had like literally 30 or 40 things I want to talk about that are more hopeful and more advice driven. But yeah, I want to make sure I supplement in between anyway, and make sure I show up daily. So today's my daily quote of my video. See ya.